All right, let's settle this. Why is football called soccer in the United States?
Because they don't use their feet.
That's not football. That's just people dressing up.
It's not soccer, it's football that we play!
Who says that?
6.75 billion people in the world call it football.
Hit that like button and subscribe button right now. It'll make your favorite team win in the next match. I promise. It's a guarantee. Personal guarantee.
You're watching a sport that has 11 players on both sides, goes on
Okay.
for about 90 minutes, has
Yep.
funny, two questionable crowd chants, and the occasional
Two
naked
questionable
person
crowd
running across
chants.
the pitch, then you are most
A
likely
naked
watching
person run
football.
across the
This
pitch.
sport has this name in most corners of the world. Football is an English name, but even countries with non-English languages use a variation of the name. In Germany, it is called Fußball. In Mexico,
Fußball.
it's called Football. And
Football.
in India, it's called Football. So, in the
Football.
wonderful, nonsensical world of language, it only makes sense that in other English-speaking countries, minus the UK, football isn't called football. Other English-speaking countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and of course,
Yeah.
the United States of America,
It's not just
use
us.
an entirely different name for the beautiful game.
Soccer.
This name of soccer sounds literally nothing like the name football. So where
Yeah,
on
it
earth did
doesn't.
it come from? Well, to understand this, we need to understand the history of football as a whole. And for the moment, when I say football, I mean the one played with feet and an actual ball. More on that other football later. The basis of football is actually a pretty ancient sport. As a game with pretty universal rules, the concept of teams of people kicking a ball into a goal area has been around for thousands of years. Records of a game like football
Was it back
can date
from
back
the
to many parts of
Mayans,
the world.
or-
From a Mesoamerican sport where the leader of the losing
Mesoamerican.
team would be sacrificed, to the ancient Chinese game of Kuju. The modern game of football as we know it
Kuju.
today, however, came from England in the 12th century. However, this
Alright.
was vastly different to football we know today. Whole towns of people would play one huge game. The
Damn.
pitch wouldn't be a grass rectangle like we know it today, but rather a
Whole
whole
town.
Not only this, but it could get pretty vicious, and players could punch the ball as well as kick it. This version of the game was banned for centuries before becoming popular again in the 17th century.
Could you imagine the whole town playing? On one end of the town, you have a goal. On the other end of the town, you have a goal. How do you pick teams? Now I was thinking about that. How would you pick a team? If you're on the north side of town or the south side of town, those are the two different teams. That would be insane. That'd be crazy to watch.
Century. From this crazy sport that used hands, feet, and you were allowed to attack the player, not only birthed
Damn.
modern football, but the
Hands,
sport of
feet,
rugby
and you could
too.
attack the
English
player?
schools would play
Ooh,
against each other.
rugby. That reminds me. I do want to check out rugby. How many of you guys watch rugby as well as football? I know basically nothing about rugby as well, and I don't know if this is the channel to do it on, or if I don't want to make a whole new channel. I want to watch some rugby. What do you guys think? Should I watch some rugby on this channel? Let me know in the comments below.
Most famously, the schools of rugby in Eton. Eton prefer playing the game with their feet, while
Wait,
rugby prefer playing the
rugby
game with their
versus
hands. Hence how
Eton.
the sport of rugby
Oh.
got its name. Also, the name football comes from the fact you kick the
Wait,
ball.
so this might be stupid. Rugby's not. I mean, it's a town, country. Rugby? No, I got to look that up.
Ball with your foot. I didn't think I needed to explain that one, but just for completion.
Football
These
is played
different
with your
playing
foot.
styles were all getting a bit out of hand, so official rules had to be put in place for these two different playing styles of this one crazy game. This came in the form of a meeting in 1863 that standardized the rules, size of the pitch, and weight and size of the ball. From this meeting, this one crazy confusing sport was split into two sports, rugby football and association football. So
Rugby
why
football
was
and
all this
association
important to
football.
know? Well,
Okay.
not only did it pad out this video, but it was from this official name of football, association football. Where we get the
Association
name of
football.
soccer from. Both these sports were originally more games for the upper class of England. What's interesting is association football was known as just soccer before it was known as just football. Soccer was the name given to it by the upper class. It was only when the game became more popular with the working class it became known as just football. So why did the upper class call it soccer? Well, there's a tendency in the upper class.
So we go by the old school name, the original name. Soccer, football, right? Right? Soccer, football. So soccer is the original name.
class of England to give things and people a nickname where it's their name with or ers added to the end. In example, J.R.R. Tolkien was known as Tollers by his close friends. This is what happened with the name Association Football. It was shortened to a soccer, and eventually the A was dropped to just make the name soccer. So, from the High Society of England...
So we're right?
Why was it the name of soccer and not football that was popularised in the US? Well, it seems to be because the name football was already taken for a sport in the States. That being the sport of American football. You know, the one where you barely use your foot in it, and where the ball is barely a ball.
That is funny to me. I always wondered why we do call it football, because there's only two plays that you use your foot in it.
Called this sport hand egg, which is a much better name.
Hand egg?
When that original sport of football was split into rugby football and association football in the aforementioned meeting in 1863, rugby football went on to become popular in other parts of the world.
Yeah, so rugby is closer to what we call football than obviously soccer is.
One of these parts of the world being the US. In the States, they added and changed the rules of the game until it became the modern sport we know it as today. The full name of this sport is rugby football, and this was the American version of that sport. So it became
American rugby football.
There
it is. There it is. Yeah, so we were closer. Our football is a version of rugby football, which makes sense to me, I guess. I don't know much about rugby, but I will. I'll check that out. So that's why we call it football. We shortened everything down. American rugby football down to just football. All right, makes sense.
The football part of the name that we see at the end of rugby football. So much time and confusion in human history would have been saved if they borrowed the rugby part of the name instead and called it American Rugby. A huge thank you
that
to all
could
my
make
patrons
sense
for supporting the channel. I really couldn't make this video if it weren't for...
That is awesome. You guys make sure you go check this guy out. I'll bet he's got a lot of really good stuff. I'm gonna probably watch some more from him. This is Name Explain. Yeah, that is awesome. And I'm just gonna say it. Is the US correct? Is it the right term? Soccer? Should the rest of the world just conform and start calling it soccer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you guys and have a wonderful day. Bye.